Madison Cawthorn is in Congress. It's a sad country. That's pretty good evidence of it. But perhaps not for much longer, or at least that's what some activists want. A group of 11 voters in North Carolina have filed a legal challenge to disqualify the congressman for running from a second term, arguing that his involvement in a rally immediately preceding the January 6th insurrection constitutionally bars him from waging another campaign. So lawyers for those voters have filed the suit to the State Board of Elections, contending that Cawthorn's comments in a speech shortly preceding the insurrection violate the 14th Amendment, which states in part that no person who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same. And basically, they don't want him to be able to run. Now, there have been other conversations and efforts to do this more broadly for a larger number of representatives who, in a variety of ways, lent support or made supportive comments about what happened on January 6th. This one is specifically limited to Madison Cawthorn himself. And I'm just gonna jump ahead and say that a spokesperson for Cawthorn has said in response to it, over 245,000 patriots from Western North Carolina elected Congressman Cawthorn to serve them in Washington. A dozen activists who are comically misinterpreting and twisting the 14th Amendment for political gain will not distract him from that service. So he's saying the fact that I got voted in proves that I can never do any wrong. Of course, bear in mind he got voted in an election that they all say is incredibly fraudulent and you shouldn't trust the results of, but he's passing over that. Anyway, Nina, what do you think about these efforts to try to bar them from running again? This is just Madison Cawthorn, but some have talked about doing this for others, potentially even including the former president.
I mean, it's just another tool in the toolbox. I'm really glad to see activists or glad to see citizens utilize their right to push back. This is not, we're not just talking about a walk around the block or in the park. I mean, having a representative that was actively engaged in trying to overthrow the government over an election definitely warrants this kind of action. So I'm glad to see just average everyday citizens getting involved.
Yeah, I certainly don't have any expectations that this is going to actually succeed. I think,
right.
But yeah, like Nina's saying, I want people to be involved, and one of the ways that you can and should be involved in is expecting that there are consequences for actions and believing that no one, just because they get into elected office or have some money, should be above the law. In reality, they appear to be all too often. But apathy is what allows that to happen. And so whether this succeeds or not, and I assume that it will not, I'm glad that they're at least attempting. In the meantime, Madison Cawthorn is obviously predictably fundraising off of this, tweeting, "The woke mob won't stop me." Now, what believing that supporting insurrection should stop you from being reelected has to do with wokeness, I don't know, but they're, I think, contractually not allowed to tweet without using the word woke. So he found a way to fit it in there. But yeah, he's gonna try to fundraise, and honestly, he's probably gonna make some money off of this. Every terrible thing they do, whether it's Marjorie Greene, Madison Cawthorn, Matt Gaetz, they always fundraise off of it, Nina.
Millions of dollars, John, come pouring into them. And it's not the woke mob he should be concerned about. It's the mob that tried to overthrow the government on January 6th. That's the mob we need to be concerned about.
Exactly. Yeah, and we know a couple months ago he was talking about people potentially needing to go back to DC. So he's already preemptively supporting the next one. Anyway, we've talked a little bit about the positions on this. We're curious what you all think. We have a poll up right now at tyt.com/polls, banning Cawthorn, but you can just go to tyt.com/polls and you'll see it. Should members of Congress who supported the insurrection be barred from running for re-election? Very curious what you think about that. You feel free to lump in your thoughts about Trump running again, but in particular members of Congress. So hopefully we'll get some results for you soon there. For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.